loud. Got it. Good. The site's pulled up. It's taking a second. Well, we have a minute as I wait for this to load. And oh, no, it loaded. Okay, great. Okay, Crone throne. So rich, hot, and holy at every age. And let's see. So our power comes from getting very comfortable with taking up space with all aspects of who we came here to be. You can have it all being all of you. Take up full space with the darkest depths of your shadow power, unleashing the hidden, often suppressed, raw, too much power that your younger self was too afraid to own. Without this, we're just playing the perfectionist patriarchal game of only the same old survive, but that's not you. You're not here to lead humanity into powerful times of freedom, past the entrapment of old systems of power plays that limit your true full power, and I would say expression. So awesome. Welcome. All right, so let's dive in, bringing ourselves to the beauty of this present moment. We have snow where we are, and the temperatures have dropped a little bit. So I am here in the yurt. I didn't have clients today. Thursdays, I actually normally don't have clients, and it was cold. So I started a fire, but I'm layered in sweaters, if you didn't notice when the video was on, trying to stay warm, really. But so perfect, because here we are, well, where we are in the Northern Hemisphere anyways, we're moving into winter, and we've got Samhain coming up on the 31st. We've got the full moon coming up next Friday. So it's like we are literally moving into the darkest portal of the year, which really is all about crone power. Being comfortable in the dark, being comfortable in the unknown, being comfortable with our shadow. These are all really powerful aspects of being rooted in the fullness of our crone power. I'm trying to think of some examples of different women, and maybe I'll post them in the group. Just different women that I've seen that really carry the gravity of what that means. And there's something so rich and so beautiful about the aging woman that can really embrace her power like that. So I'm really curious and excited to see what comes through from the field today. All right. So we'll start with a breath in. Let's do a breath in of like a silver light. I'm actually sitting on like this like silver, it's gray, but it reminded me when I looked down of like silvery gray hair. So let's do a breath in of silvery, like that silvery gray, like hair, right? And we'll breathe it in through the nose, just the vibration of silver gray into the womb. Letting it cleanse and clear, and then bringing it up and out through the mouth. And we'll do that breath 2 more times, bringing it to the count of 3. And we'll go ahead and just see yourself in this cave. It's your cave. It's got, rock walls or stone walls. Maybe there's like ancient cave paintings. Maybe there's not. Maybe it's like, herbs, dried herbs kind of hanging down. But there's a fire in there. And outside the cave, we're starting to see winter. So, the leaves have fallen, all of the plants are dead and gone. And there's a white, it's not silver, but there's white snowflakes starting to swirl, and the air is crisping up, and it's overcast. And we're warmed by the fire, and we're held by the cave, and we're safe in the ancient wisdom of the Great Mother. And this is our space. And it's this beautiful, clear, empty but warm space for us to drop into, to just anchor into a space of peace and clarity and strength. And you can just keep breathing, bringing yourself back to your body, just back to the present moment, which is truly right here in this space where we have the most power. And about 50 feet above our head, we'll go ahead and see a gold door. We'll let the gold door swing open, and then down cascades beautiful gold and pink and sparkly white light. We'll let that cascade down, 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 entering in through the top of our heads, allowing that to fill us up from our toes through our legs into the sacral, through our fingertips and arms, through the core of our body to the top of our head, illuminating a crown. This is your Crone crown. So drawing on the ancient wisdom of the Crone. And just notice what you notice about the shape, the style, the jewels, whatever it's made from. It's an expression of that archetypal energy, the way your essence would work with and embody the Crone. So I have something really fun that I want to do today. And I was so this is it's not going to be channeled through, but I wanted to bring this piece in because I thought it'd be really fun. And I feel like I have done this, but not for a while, but I want to get to know who our crowned one is, who our crone is, who we are being called to step into through our evolutionary aging process. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And I'm going to go ahead and call down the temples of divine love, light, truth, abundance, wisdom, and power to descend around us now, calling in our guides, teachers, masters, and the angels to be present, creating a beautiful protective space where only the highest frequencies of love and light shall exist, banishing all negative influences should there be any. Asking for the archetype of the dark feminine to be present. And just seeing all those temples, all the vibrational temples kind of anchor in around us. And then we're going to move to the heart space located at the center of the chest. And you can go ahead and see a beautiful magenta rose bloom open. And then from there, going ahead and seeing the golden grid of the flower of life begin to expand and swirl out from the heart chakra center. And we're going to let that pure wisdom and high frequency light, the radiant divine substance of all of creation that's interwoven into all of life, begin to permeate and infuse itself within us, out from us, and all around us into the Akashic field. And we're going to let this light continue to grow, expand, and interpermeate with the physical and non-physical reality that exists before us, all around us, and within us. And we're going to let this radiant divine substance of all of life that flows through all things continue to flower and expand from our heart chakra. And we're going to see, sense, feel now as the doors to the Akasha and all the wisdom and love of the Akasha open to us now. And again, we're just seeing, sensing, feeling in whatever ways we do. And we're just trusting that. It'll also be really interesting to just pay attention to the very first Akashic transmission that we did for Way of Sacred She, and what your experience of your senses were, what your intuition or your intuitive interpretation of the energy, of the symbols, and of the guidance that's been coming through from the journals and even from these transmissions. Just noticing how much more you're trusting, how clearer it is. All right, let's see what's coming in. All right, so I'm seeing a woman behind black curtains, and there's these black velvet curtains, and she's got old hands, and she's peeking out from behind the curtains, and I'm not seeing the peripheral, like I don't see her, I'm not looking at her peeking through the curtains. I can just see her hands, and she's peeking through these black curtains. And let's see here. My sense is where she's, okay, I get it, where she's afraid to come out. And I'm seeing young kids playing in the street. And it's kind of like how you would see it on a movie, you know, where it's like the old witch that lived at the end of the road, that lived in the creepy haunted house or whatever. But when the kids finally got to know her, she was like actually really sweet and charming. But they had all these ideas about who she was. And so they kind of like cast almost like a spell on her, so to speak, and kind of just placing her in this, not giving her a lot of freedom to be anything other than what they have defined who she already is. So I'm seeing this woman peeking through these curtains and watching life go by and watching these young children. And she's feeling very vulnerable, and she's feeling very, like I get the sense almost like she's feeling very naked even, and I even think she is kind of naked. So the symbology, really, to me, the way that this is coming through is like where we hide more of our vulnerable, um, less traditional, like power aspects, right? And because of sometimes the projections that we feel society might have, um, and that kind of thing. So I'm just watching this woman, and she's pacing back and forth, and she's debating what it would mean to step out more fully and to come out from behind these big velvet curtains. And she has like fear wrapped up in like what that would mean. And at the same time, it's like she's tired of like hiding her power, and she's tired of hiding these more vulnerable parts of herself, and she wants to engage with life in a more connected way, in a way where the fullness, more of the fullness of her expression is being shared with the world, right? So that she doesn't have to hide, and she doesn't have to feel trapped, and she doesn't have to feel isolated. So the piece that's really coming through is about, where we feel trapped or isolated, or where we're hiding those more vulnerable, there's like a word that I want to land in, those more vulnerable, um it's like quirky, but it's like there's another word for it, those more vulnerable, quirky, like out there kind of aspects about us. And I know that, um and I'm just kind of thinking about like the group in general, and I know there's always like, there's often, I shouldn't say always, but there's often that part in the spiritual journey where it's like we come out. I know it was like that for me, right? We come out of the healer's closet. So it's kind of like where we're hiding like our witchiness, or our woo woo, or more of our unique perception, or more of our authenticity. I just really want to tap into her too just a little bit more, because there's actually like something quite specific about her medicine that I really, really like. And because she's very different than most of society, but and it's ancient and it's old, and she's very different than most of society, and yet there's a magic to her. right? So it's like, so then I'm seeing her, I'm seeing her emerge, and she's the velvet, the black velvet, like heavy curtains. She's wearing it now like a cloak. She's wearing it now like a cloak, and she's wearing it like a, and she has like on her like crone crown, right? So originally, like the name Crone meant crowned one, where the older woman was like really sacred and very revered as a leader in her community. She was a source, a deep source, a well of wisdom that would guide the community. So I'm seeing this crone, and she's now like running on the soccer field, and she's still she's running on the soccer field with these kids, and she's still in that cloak, and she still has her crown on, but she's found a level of comfort and a level of freedom oh, here's the word, with her weirdness. I'm laughing because it was like right there, and I don't know why that was so hard. Her weirdness, because there's like there's like an element when we embrace our weirdness. And I know that if you're in this space with me, that you've already done a journey that, you know, has allowed you to embrace your weirdness. You've probably known that, you know, you were different from like a lot of people, maybe your family or, you know, aspects of society for like a long, long time. And so this is just looking at like remnants, or I shouldn't say last, because it's this journey of evolutionary aging is what that's kind of how it came through in the journal, and I just like loved it. So it's the next layer of like weirdness, of like where we can raise our freak flag, so to speak, but still know that it doesn't create disconnection, that showing up in a space of authenticity, especially when we can embrace it and find the magic in it, often leads to even greater connection. And I know, especially, you know, being an entrepreneur, that's totally and entirely true when it comes to attracting the community that we're aligned to serve. It's like the more they can really see, you know, what makes us different, and who we truly are, it's like the more they can raise their hand and be like, oh yeah, like that person is totally for me. And we give other people a freedom to express more fully their weirdness, and it allows them to set themselves free too, which, okay, um, let me just tune in. And I just see her running back and forth on this soccer field, and it's quite a peculiar and really odd visual that I'm getting. But just give me a moment. I'm going to tune in here and see where all of this wants to unfold. Okay. So I got the transmission from that, but now she's showing up in the field, like right in front of me. And she's showing up in a way where she's, it's like a very like in my face way. And she has a message. And I feel like the message is almost like, I can definitely bring a message through, but I also feel like there's like a message for each of you, and how you connect to her and receive that message would be a little bit different. I'm going to relay my message, but I also am just going to give a brief pause for you also to connect into and receive a message. When I tune into her, there's a sense of urgency, and she's actually quite frustrated. And frustrated, I mean, this would probably vary depending on the woman, but frustrated, and there's a sense of urgency, and it's almost a little bit of like, how long are you going to wait? How long are you going to like distrust the wisdom that you have? How long are you going to wait? How long are you going to like settle for the standards that have been placed upon you and in the world around you, that you know, it doesn't work. It doesn't work for our communities. It doesn't work for our children. It doesn't work for the collective. And there is a sense of And again, it's that urgency and that frustration and that it's like it's time to speak up. It's time to speak up. Um, all of you have, and this I just get the word with her is like it's like there's a wisdom. You all possess a deep um, wisdom and perspectives that are so needed at this time. And so she's inviting us to look at where we hold back. So let's just take a moment in this space, coming back to our bodies, coming back to our heart chakras, our wombs, and just taking a moment and tuning in and reflecting on that. Like, where do you hold back? And, that doesn't mean we have to scream from the rooftops or, jump on Facebook. But where do you find yourself holding back in terms of what you know to be true and the wisdom that you possess? And the wisdom that you possess too, I think a little part of her frustration, and I just told you we were going to pause, but a little part of her frustration is where we're allowing our logic to override a deeper knowing and a deeper wisdom. Yeah. And that she's saying so many of you talk yourself out of what you already know to be true. And this is the thing with the feminine perspective, with feminine vision, with feminine wisdom, is that it's not often based in logic. It's based in a sense of the work that we're being called to do to move and advance the collective forward. And they're often it's just a knowing, it's a perspective, it's a way of seeing, it's a calling. And there's often no one, especially, if you're being called into this space of, and I really truly believe every woman is a leader, but I just get this sense of like, it's like there's no one paving the path for you. It's a very soul based, heart based, wisdom based way of traveling the path, but it's very, very needed. I'm going to see as we move forward anything else that wants to come through around that, but that feels a little bit more complete. And now I am just going to give you a moment and just tune into her yourself, and I'll just give you a moment to receive any insights that she might have specifically for you. Yeah, she's an amazing resource. And to loop this back around to the crowned one, the original community leader, I think, and it's so much about the message and the medicine that she's bringing forward is about the spiritual wisdom and the guidance that's coming through for the health of the community, right? To move the community or to move the collective forward. The other message that she's bringing through that's coming through in a really strong way, and it's about, I think she touched on this in the beginning too, but it's about what we're willing to tolerate. And like she's showing me like cutting the cords, or like cutting the strings of all of those places that we've been tolerating behaviors oh, interesting, that we've been tolerating behaviors that we know don't actually honor our lives or who we are. And I said relationships, and I didn't actually see it as relationships initially, but um, I think examining relationships is a good place to start. But it's also it's like what we tolerate in our businesses and our relationships, in our lives. It's also she's inviting us to look at where we tolerate like bad habits, where we've just like tolerated bad habits, like where the bad habits have just become the norm. And yet we know that it doesn't honor us. Um, and part of the reason too is that there's almost like an up leveling energy coming. And so, and I know I've been really feeling that through Mercury retrograde too, like a lot of cleaning up of the old and like old ties and just everything that needs to be cleaned up. So the way that I'm seeing is that she's really like this is like anchoring into like a refreshed version. You know, we've taken all this medicine and we've moved through all these awarenesses and these insights, and we're recalibrating like down to the subconscious cellular level. And so this is like really looking at like what can't come with you so that you can up level your energy, so that the old and all of the strands that really don't honor you or that you've tolerated or where you've placed your standards lower than where you want them, where that all gets cleaned up, right? So that your energy can like fully recalibrate and land in that refreshed, more fuller expressed version of who you are. And then I just get this sense too of like you attracting more of the more aligned community that you're ready to serve. That feels really big to me. So I'd be really curious. I'm going to check in on the Facebook group later. Um, and I feel like this could speak to all of us, like where we're being called into more leadership, where we're being called to step out as leaders and to call in our community, to call in those that we are aligned to serve, right? To step into more of our evolution. And so we move through that process of transformation and of getting rid of everything that can't come with us as we prepare to really step in. I'm actually seeing like a community, like a circle, like the way that she's showing it to me as we prepare to step into this place to be of service to a more aligned community. Yeah, so that the whole can be recalibrated. Okay. Okay, so I'm seeing her, and there's a stream of water, and she's still wearing that beautiful cloak. And she's taking me over to a stream of water in an ancient forest. Is it a stream or is it a river? Yeah, it's like a small river. And there's no one around, and she's still in this beautiful black cloak, and she's got her hand in the water. And it's cold. And the water, though, is like very, very purifying, activating, like it's got a charge to it. And it has and oh, I see. Okay. So the water too is like silver. It's like a blue, but it's like silver. And so it's got this like silver kind of frequency to it. Okay, so I just want to tune in and see where she's going with this. Um, mm, okay, so she's got her hand in, and but she's got her hand in a way where her hand isn't like, let's see, her palm is kind of like upwards. So the water's like hitting her palm in a way where it's creating like force and like pushing against her palm. And she's talking about like about force and about pushing upstream when it's not necessary. So let's see, where is she going with this? Feels like there's something really special about like this silver frequency like of the water. Mm, yeah. So now she's like in the water, and she's like working with the water, and the water is talking, like she's talking about flow and like not making it so hard, not like going upstream, not like pushing, not forcing, but allowing yourself to work with the stream and to work with the flow. This is interesting. And I'm just gonna watch her. So she's like in the water, and the water's like carrying her down. And there's like white water rapids, and she's still really like, still really enjoying these white water rapids. And part of what's coming through with this like silver frequency and this water and this high kind of like high charge, this very like crystalline charge that it has to it, is um is our intuition, and trusting our intuition and trusting where the flow wants to take us. And that the message around this is that like there's like fear, like it's almost like that our sometimes our intuition, because she was talking about flow, but then my sense is that sometimes our intuition takes us into places, and there is a lot of ease and there's a lot of flow. But sometimes our intuition will take us through like the white water rapids, and it's like moving a lot more quickly and it's a lot more unknown. And it can be scary, right? There can be fear because it can feel quite turbulent, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's wrong. And some of you or all of you, it's almost like instead of taking the leap into like the unknown, or where it like might be a little bit like bumpy or turbulent for a little bit, depending on what energy we're navigating, and change will often feel like that. Instead of taking and letting the flow take you into those places where potentially it could be a little bit bumpy, you're avoiding where your intuition is guiding you, and instead it's like you're pushing upstream. You're pushing upstream and you're forcing, and you're making it harder. It's requiring a lot more effort to avoid taking the intuitive leaps, even though it might be a little bit bumpy, because our intuition is naturally is geared to step us into more of our evolution. And like the deep kind of like the she intuition, like she is naturally guiding us into more of our evolution. And we are traveling into the unknown, and it can be a little bit bumpy. And she's also talking about being really centered and really rooted in yourself, so that moment to moment you know how to maneuver all of the bumps, all of the turbulence. Because when we're not fully centered like that, then what happens is we don't trust ourselves to know moment to moment how to respond. We don't trust ourselves moment to moment, the intuitive guidance will come through moment to moment, right? So it's like when we can come and ground into our space like that, it's like we're really anchored in our channel, and really grounded in our bodies, and then we're able to surrender that much more. We're able to surrender that much more, and then traveling through turbulent times becomes that much more smooth. Okay. And that, I think, that too is what she's speaking about. Like our crone throne is like you anchored, like you are in your womb, you're in your bodies, you're centered, you're in the channel, you are the channel. It's like moment to moment, you know how to navigate the unknown. And that's where that full trust and a mastery of our power when it comes to navigating uncertainty, right? And that's the crone power, is navigating the dark, navigating the void, but it's navigating it's navigating change. It's navigating the valley, it's navigating uncertainty, and taking the leap into our evolutionary aging process, our journey, and not necessarily knowing where we're going, but trusting moment to moment, being comfortable, right, in those places where there's uncertainty. And that's where the mastery is. It's like we always know that we have what we need at any given moment, and that at any given moment we're going to know how to adapt and move. And it allows us to trust and flow with uncertainty in a much more powerful way. So I'm like seeing this like stream like moving towards like this really big ancient castle. Let's see how we're doing for time. So the stream is moving towards this really big ancient castle, and she's like wet. I just love how she's like she's come through. So she's like wet, and she's like, and the really cool thing about this crone archetype, this crone woman who's come through, is that she's actually like she's really young at heart. Like I kind of like she's pretty playful, like, and adaptable. Like she doesn't like a really in touch with her inner child. And she's not really taking like life like too seriously. So like even in the midst of like the whitewater rapids, it's still she's like having fun. And she's saying, because it's what makes you flexible. And that's so true, right? When we're like stiff and we're trying to control outcomes, and we're tapped into like, trying to control all the details and perfectionism and all that stuff, it's like play is the medicine that brings us back into a joyful place of being able to let go and move into surrender. It truly does make us adaptable and much more flexible and able to go with the flow. Because we think about the crone throne too as being really serious and dark. So I love how she's like weaving in like that playfulness, because crone power and your crone throne, remember, it's not defined by anyone and anything but you. It's like this is that place, especially in this evolutionary aging journey. It's like we get to define it. We get to find true freedom in who we are, past any standards that have been set, any projections, right? So it gets to be what we want based on who we truly are. There's no one defining it but us. Okay. I want to move into some clearing, and I can see that she's moving into this into this castle. So let's just, you can go ahead. I'm seeing her in like the castle, and it's like it's old and like very cool looking. And there's a throne, and she is not your typical like the queen that you would see in like a movie. Like, and this is again because it's like busting all those myths. It's like you can be it all, you can have it all. There's no rules. And she's like I would say the way she's coming through for me, and it could be different for you, is that she's weird. Like she's weird and she's like really out there and totally woo woo. And but she's a queen. She's like, she is like, this is her crone throne. And she's like not apologizing for not fitting into like any type of stereotype um that anyone would have for her. She's like, I am not here to fit into what who you think I need to be. So I want to see her sit on her throne, but she is not sitting on her throne. It's almost like she really doesn't care to even like sit on that throne because she knows that I want her to. Like she just won't do it. So we're gonna leave it at that because that's her medicine. She's just kind of broken all the rules. She doesn't want to be told what to do, and she's definitely even in this space not like going to play by the my desire for her to sit on the throne and complete this visualization. So we're gonna leave it at that, and however that medicine is coming through for you, or however that medicine is coming through for you, so you're just going to go ahead and just feel it and receive it. I absolutely love it. And let's look at what is coming up to be untangled or cleared. Oh, just a sec, my pendulum is all tangled. All right, let us see. Okay. There's a belief coming up for clearing. And there's another pact this week coming up for clearing. I don't know if this is how exactly this is going to play out. And I know all of us don't have daughters, but some of the wisdom around the pact that came through is it's about breaking pacts with our daughters about the way that they think we should be as we age. Like that's kind of different. So I just want to see. So there's that pact that's coming up. Is it like let's just see. Okay, so we'll start with the belief first. And is this a past life belief, like a core collective kind of like past life belief? Okay, and then give me the story. Okay, so the way that this is coming through is that I'm seeing like a group of women and they're all like dancing around in a circle. And they're dancing around in the circle. And then there's like one particular woman who's like existing in this circle and she doesn't want to be a part of the circle anymore. She doesn't want to be a part of the circle anymore because she's like looking around and I'm getting like, as I see the circle, it's like all of these like young women in pretty dresses and they're all like following kind of like the rules that have been set in place by the church or the community, and everybody's getting along because everybody's playing by these rules. And so there's this this woman who I'm going to say is representing like us. And she doesn't really fit into the mold of that. And she's kind of playing by the rules, doesn't want to not play by the rules because she wants to be like accepted too and like a part of the group, and doesn't really want to rock the boat, because then if she rocks the boat, then she'll be an outcast, and she doesn't really want that either, because then she'll just be all alone. So then she's in this place where she's like playing by these rules, but she's feeling like a sense of sadness because she can't actually fully be who she is either. And she's aware that these rules that everybody else is playing by, they don't actually serve her. So she's like dancing around in like this pretty dress and in this circle, and she's like holding hands with the other women, but there's like a growing sense of sadness. I really get the sense, the way that everything's coming through today, that this really is a part of like, um, it's like, it's, and I've, as somebody who's like built a community and been serving women, for the last decade, it's like I've had many women in my community for many, many years. But as I've grown and evolved and shown up in different ways and cleared away the old, and it's like up leveled my business and my community and who I'm speaking to and who I'm calling in, sometimes, the old will drift away, and I'll have in a new space, a new community will form. New women will come, other women will grow with me. And I'm feeling like, if, whether this is like your community of like, maybe just like women and friends, or maybe it's your workplace, or maybe it's you actually have like a business, like you are on a path of service as well, and you're growing in your on your sacred work and on your path. But we're all being invited to look at like where we've been playing by the rules of old community standards in maybe, and so these rules are like they're really subconscious, kind of like, if you're like me and I'm like you, then we can all get along. We're not going to threaten each other. And it's just going to keep the peace. So this belief that's coming up for clearing is a past life belief that's being held in our Akashic records. So I'll ask for our Akashic records to be open for everyone on the call and everyone who will be listening to this call in the future. And we'll ask the Akashic guardians to help us with that. And if you'd like your record open, you can say yes. Okay. And then the belief is like, if I break the rules, then I will be abandoned. And the other piece that's coming through around this belief is, and I like wonder, I know I've definitely had this experience, and to me, this is part of the sisterhood. This is part of this sisterhood wound of like, maybe we didn't honor some of these subconscious agreements like in the past, and then we had somebody like be catty behind our back or talk about us behind our back, or a group of girls maybe didn't like that we were separating ourselves out in some way. So there's almost some sense of like, if I stop playing by the rules, if I step outside the box of how it's been done or the norm, then am I going to face abandonment, rejection, or am I going to face what's the word? It's like cattiness or jealousy or any of those, right? Because it hurts, because we don't want to feel that type of rejection. And so the belief that's coming up, I just want to see, is it at the first chakra, second chakra, third chakra? So it's at the heart chakra, which totally makes sense again. And so the belief is, if I step outside of the norm, that I'll be rejected, abandoned, or hurt, or betrayed. That's the other one. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to clear this pact right to the point of creation, backwards and forwards through time, through all spaces, realities, timelines, and dimensions. And then we're going to ask that this be transmuted to divine love and light and released fully back to source. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. Then we're going to ask for any stories, any stories, how can I say this? I basically want to, like, any hurt, any residual hurt or stories of like betrayal betrayal, rejection, or abandonment from any past female relationships, that the path now be made to totally heal and resolve that, so that new stories of sisterhood can be created. Right. And that's just that space of, knowing that. And I think, we're all kind of doing our best, but this is just where we're at collectively. And so that we're coming into a space of community where we can celebrate each other, support each other, speak with open and honest communication, and know that it's safe to break free and to be different and to individually define our own rules, and to know that we're still worthy, accepted, and loved and cherished within the global sisterhood, right? A new paradigm sisterhood. Okay, cool. So let's go to the pact that I was looking at, which is so interesting because I had picked up that it has to do more with our daughters and their expectations of what it means for us to age and what that should look like. I think this is cool because I get told by my daughter, who's 11, that I'm weird all the time, that I'm the weirdest mom, which, and then I always like kind of laugh and agree with her. But I wonder where maybe at a deeper level, like that does kind of like play out in limitation somewhere. Okay, so let's go ahead. So this pact. So we're going to pull up a past life story to communicate what collectively wants to be addressed and then cleared. And yeah, you know what? It is coming through like that. Like I'm seeing a daughter and I'm seeing a mother and I'm seeing the mother being a role model for her daughter, and the daughter really desiring her mother to adhere to certain certain expectations, and it's under the influence of like other young women who the daughter is being influenced by. And I just get this sense that it's kind of like colonial roots here with this one, but like it's all very proper. And the mother, it's interesting because the mother is the one that wants to kind of break free and like find a bit of freedom, but she's having difficulty because the daughter really needs her to adhere to certain expectations, because her sense of acceptance within her community, her peer group, she feels depends on where her mother shows up in a space of like the norm. So whenever we talk about pacts, it's always a relationship agreement, and it always creates lopsided relationship dynamics or codependent patterns. And it's always because something usually traumatic or difficult happened, and then two people start feeling insecure, and they start leaning on each other to have those insecurities met. So now that I've recapped that, I think the insecurity, and I just want to see where the masculine is with all of this. Is there a masculine influence around? Um, well, there is. Okay, so then what is the deal? Is safety and survival. I actually get the sense it was like it's like there's like war. So there's this sense of just safety and survival, and oh, I see. Okay. Safety and survival. And so a little bit of the safety and survival depended on like fitting in. So lots of fitting in pieces today, but that makes sense based on how our crone came through at the very beginning, and peeking through those curtains, and and really like wanting to find a way to be seen in more of the depth and the weirdness and the quirkiness and the vulnerable aspects of who she is. Um, and then with this pact, it's like the mom adhered to the daughter. Like the mom was like, okay, I won't rock the boat for you. And so then I'm like seeing her just like tending to like her motherly duties. And she's like, she's in the kitchen and she's just doing all of the chores that a mother would have done, and the daughter's happy with that because she is like, don't you okay, and this is also speaking to like the moms that are like trendsetters, like the moms that like want to live their passion, who want to live their purpose, right, who are breaking the norm of some of those standard roles that we would see, those standard kind of like assigned roles that we would see in society. And um and the mother's doing it, and it's a way to just like not rock the boat, to keep the family feeling safe and secure, and um and to receive the love of the daughter, right? So then the daughter, so that it's always got to go vice versa. So this will be really interesting to see how this is playing out. So the daughter, so that's what the mom did, and the mom did that in order to receive love. And then the daughter, she um well, she received a sense of safety. She learned that in order so she learned that to play it safe meant safety and survival, like to blend in. But so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to clear this pact right to the point of creation, backwards and forwards through time, through all spaces, realities, timelines, and dimensions, asking that it be transmuted to divine love and light and then released fully back to source. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. This is really cool too, because what happens is that it's like the daughter was really never shown how to um how to break free. The daughter was really never shown how to find comfort in her weirdness or her full expression or her purpose, right, beyond what others needed of her. And so she really, what the mother um, did without realizing it, was she taught her daughter to sacrifice in order to fit in, and to settle into the status quo, and to find some sense of safety. So imagine if the mother didn't listen to the daughter, if the mother just chose to break free, if the mother chose to make some noise, even though it might not have worked for the daughter initially, later on, it would have shown her how to create freedom in her life. So the way showers and like paving this way forward for our children and for our daughters, it can be uncomfortable and it might look like rocking the boat in the beginning, but we're actually, through transmission, giving them a really valuable tool in knowing what it feels like and looks like to break free beyond the status quo. And so the way that the way that packs work are so beautiful, because as it gives us permission to more fully move forward in our expression, regardless of who it works for. And I see this lots, working with moms over the years too. It's like we feel like so responsible for, rocking the boat with the family matrix. And because vibrationally it does, right? When we shift, change, and evolve, it shifts and restructures the family matrix to a degree. But in the end, I have never, ever seen it not benefit a family, like ever. Because when we evolve, our family evolves. So this is that full permission to step outside of the box, whatever that looks like for you. And I'm seeing this mom too. She's like in the kitchen making noise. And like, again, it's like kind of like that same, like with the crone. She's in the kitchen making noise and she's like making music with like pots and like wooden spoons. And like, she's not going to be quiet because it's a disservice to be quiet, to settle, to tamper down our full expression. All right. So, did I clear that? Yes, I did. Great. I didn't anchor into the body so much this one. It was just a lot of channeled transmission that came through. So let's just take 1 minute and we're going to just breathe and come into our bodies. And I'm just going to share about what to look forward to in the journal, but I'll just give us a moment. So breathing in through the nose, down into the womb. Just letting any residual feelings surface. All that gold, pink, and sparkly light that we brought down at the beginning of the call, we're going to let it swish and swirl through the core of our body, gathering up any emotions, any thought patterns that we're complete with, anything that's kind of been dislodged in our system. We're going to gather it up to the core of our body, bringing it up through the top of our head and releasing it all fully back to source. Placing your hands on your thighs, on your heart, even on your womb, just kind of bringing yourself back to body, allowing everything from today to integrate. Beautiful. So in your Akashic journal this week, there's an entry, and I didn't get to it today, but there's an entry in your journal, and it has to do with connecting to your future you, like your future Crone self, and like really tapping into, how this evolutionary aging journey, what that timeline looks like for you. And feeling into that version of you, your Crone self, and any messages that she has for you regarding, health, wealth, love, relationships, just anything, really feeling into the wisdom of how she reveals herself to you. And I'd really love to hear, how that comes through for you. I'm going to do that too. I haven't done it for a while. So I'm going to go ahead and thank the guides, guardians, masters, angels, teachers who have been a part of our experience today. And knowing that the clarity, the healing, the intentions, the activations, it's all going to unfold into completion. And the door between the worlds is now closed. And so it is. All right, we ran over. Thanks for joining me today, and I shall talk to you very, very soon. Bye bye.